Now, the next one is that what exactly is infrastructure as code? The whole process which we were talking about in the previous thing was actually uh, giving a focus point on like we are having some scripts, configuration management scripts, using which we can manage the configurations, we can provision the infrastructure, we can do the deployments, we can have the software configuration managed. Now, all these scripts are actually known as infrastructure as code. Infrastructure as a code is also known as the process of managing and provisioning the virtual machines, deploying the resources, managing the configurations, all these things which we used to do have manually earlier. So these are something which is being done with this one, with this infrastructure as code here. So IaC is the short form for this one. So this also denotes that we are managing the infrastructure with the help of source code, which is correct because whatever the configuration management scripts which we are talking about over here, it's actually performing the same activity, doing the same work over here. The IT infrastructure is responsible for managing all these things, like they're responsible for setting up the virtual machines, setting up the environments. So they can make use of these scripts. They can code up this one. Plus, it helps them to reuse also. Like it's not every time if they want to have the Tomcat Apache, so they have to rewrite it. There are a lot of ready-made particular scripts or codes which is available there, using which they can achieve this requirement. Plus, it's a kind of a requirement prerequisite which is available there that if they wanted to utilize these scripts, they can use these and they can get the benefits out of here. Now, these definition files, whatever the scripts we are creating, these are easily stored into the version control system. You can go and you can have it up into the version control system there. And just like any application source code, these can also be utilized, can also be reused over there. That yes, we are going to use or we are going to have the implementation over here for these different scripts as such. So using these scripts, we can automate the configurations on bare metal servers or virtual machines. So if you have the bare metal servers machines, if you want to create or because bare metal servers will be empty. So if on top of that you want to create the virtual machines and further within the virtual machines you want to have some setup of environment, then all these definition files and codes can be used to create the setup and the set of configurations and the software or executables. Now, each configuration management tool, it's using its own way to manage the configurations because it's not like infrastructure as a code is having only one language. Every tool is using its own language there. These are the common languages, which is like Ruby, YAML, JSON. Everyone is using that. For instance, Chef and Puppet, they are Ruby based. Ansible is a YAML based. Then further on, SaltStack is also YAML based. So these tools are using the different formats as such. So we cannot say that there is only one single programming language which is there for the infrastructure as code. We have multiple there. And these can be stored equivalent, just like you are storing the Java source codes. These are also can be stored up into the version control system. Now, when it comes to the integration, because of course, if you want to invoke these infrastructure as a code scripts or these different codes, you have the choice that whether you want to trigger this automatically. If you want to trigger it automatically, then you have to depend on the orchestration tools like Jenkins or any other type of trigger, any other type of tool there. If you want to do it manually, then that also like you can do it. You have the access to these scripts from your repository and any moment of time you can invoke it. So in both the cases, you're going to get the same benefits. Now, this is a very high level of infrastructure, like a high level of things which is going to happen over here. For example, the developers are there. So the developers or the admins, they write the infrastructure as a code and they store it up into the version control system. And they have a single server. They have an automation server. They have a provision server. And from there, they are starting managing the stuff. So depending on the infrastructure as a code scripts, either you may be provisioning the infrastructure on the cloud or you may be provisioning the infrastructure on premises. Even if you're not using it for the provisioning, you're just using it for managing, then it can be a management of resources on the cloud, on public private cloud, or it can be on premises also. So there are different possibilities which is available over here, which we are defining like what exactly the different options we can explore and we can get it up over here in this case. So that's the overall way that how these things will be utilized.